Hello YouTube, welcome back from my stoop. Yeah, again we are, time flies, and too long ago that I made a video. I'm sorry for that, but yeah, so today's video is about a question that I'm thinking about lately, and that is about marriage and the close relationship marriage has with our relationship with God. So what struck me and how I got to this was the many references in the Bible to marriage, not only to marriage as, in terms of how it should be, but also in terms of how marriage, the marriage relationship between a couple relates in terms of how we should be in relationship with Jesus Christ. The examples are as follows. First page of the Bible, the creation. God made man, and the marriage was the logical consequence of two people getting together and being together as a couple, which makes marriage, and by the way, it's before the fall, so it's not kind of as a result of the fall, it's before that. So to me, that means that God made man to be in relationships. We are in relationship with God, with ourselves, with our partners, with other people, with culture, with nature. So we are relationships beings. And then from there you can go right through the Bible. Hosea, marriage is used as an example of how the people were unfaithful to God in terms of their relationship with God. The same happens in Jeremiah. We've got Song of Psalms, which is a typical example of a relationship between love between a man and a woman, which kind of relates also to the relationship between God and men. And then in the New Testament, Jesus talks about it. Jesus refers to marriage as being in a relationship, and kind of the practice area, the playing field of life in the kingdom of God. And then in Corinthians, Paul is writing about how we should not do adultery because it affects actually our relationship with God. In Ephesians, he uses the example of a marriage by saying, as Christ loved his church, so we should love each other. And then and in other letters also he refers to that. And in Revelations, the coming of Christ is explained in terms of the feast of a marriage. So that made me think, can we say that there's a very close relationship between our experience and how we enter and live in a relationship, in a marriage relationship, and our relationship with God? Is there a close relationship there? I think so, because if you look at it this way, wait, before I say that, religion is not in a good space. A lot of people doesn't want to go to church, doesn't want to know anything about God, doesn't believe anymore, and religion is just something that they're not interested in. In the same sense, marriages is in a bad space. There's between a 40 and a 50% divorce rate of first marriages, which is very high. So my point is, can we kind of say that, like our marriages, which is in a bad space, can be related to our relationship with God being in a bad space, and vice versa? Because our relationship with God is not in a good space, it will necessarily affect our relationship with our partners and other people actually also, but no, specifically now in this sense, marriages. So yeah, so that's my question for today, is and my thinking, and I would like to hear what you guys say about it. And the reason why I'm thinking about this is being in relationship with ourselves, God, other people, etc. Being that relationship is the kind of the first thing that happened when God created man and woman, means that is the basis of what it is. So my thinking is, if we can live out the ethical implications of, for example, the Sermon on the Mount, and love your neighbor as yourself, and love your enemies, and turn the other cheek, and do unto others as you would like them to do to you. If we live out those principles in our marriage life, will that not directly influence our relationship with God, and vice versa? If we start living out those principles in our relationship with God, will that not necessarily have an impact in our marriage life? If we cannot love our wives or husbands unconditionally, we will not be able to do it with other people, and let alone enemies. So to me, there's a very close relationship between these two relationships that we are in. And I tend to think that they do affect each other. So my idea is, if we can start living the principles and the ethical behavior of what Jesus told us and learned us in the Bible, and we can start in the closest relationship and the easiest relationship that we are in, our marriage, because it's easy to love my wife, it's not that easy to love my enemy. So let's start there. And if we can start there and we fix that, and we start living out the principles of submission and respect and love towards our marriage partner, we are already then starting to practice what it means to be a disciple, what it means to live in the kingdom of God. And then, as we are successful there, it will start flow over into our relationship with our bosses, our friends, our enemies, etc., and Jesus Christ. Maybe we can also turn it around and say, as we start living out those principles in the world, it will have an effect on our marriage life, because as I love my enemy, sorry for that, it will actually be easy to love my wife, isn't it? And as I respect another person, not for what they achieve or who they are, but just for being a creation of God, then doing it in our relationship with our wives and our children and our bosses will kind of overflow, wouldn't it? So yeah, that's my thinking for today. Tell me what you think. Is there a close relationship between marriage and our relationship with God? Will living out the ethical principles of the Bible in our marriage affect our living out the principles in the world, and vice versa? I tend to think so. So I would like to hear what you think. I'm smoking in my my Eric Nording, kind of a cool pipe, handmade, and enjoying this late Thursday afternoon. This weekend ahead, we will be away for a while, so luckily I was able to do this, otherwise it was another 4 days later, and maybe even more. Any case, thank you for watching, thank you for your patience, thank you that you still subscribed. I do really appreciate it, and I will keep on trying. That's all I can say. I will keep on trying, make it more consistent videos than 2 weeks, 3 weeks apart. Really, I don't want to, but yeah, life happens, and it's not always. Maybe I've got too many things to do. That's a thought. Thank you for watching, and I'm looking forward to your comments. Enjoy your weekend ahead. Bye bye.